Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Josh here. Welcome to the 55210 body shop. I've got panels laid out galore. It is glorious out here. So I worked a little bit since the last video on the doors. I knocked those down with some Scotch-Brite to get those ready for some primer. The inside of the doors are just going to get a little bit of a sealer. And the outer face of the doors are going to get some high build primer so I can block those smooth. I got those doors secondhand. Someone else who was working on a square body, they had listed them on Facebook Marketplace. There were a couple issues with some alignment of the stamped holes and the welded on nuts inside for mounting the hinges. And the guy didn't want to bother with clearancing them or whatever, and he'd hung them up in the garage like, I'll get around to them later, and never did, and just decided to sell them like super cheap. So I got each door for like 60 bucks or whatever it was. Like, I got the pair for less than 200. So it was definitely worth my time to go grab them. But yeah, they had some dings and stuff to them, which they probably got in shipping, I would imagine. Same thing with these, replacement stepside fenders for the bed. They had dings and stuff all over them, and they were shipped to me like brand new stamping. So anyway, I've got those ready for primer. They just need basically another wipe down before getting sprayed. Now I've pulled one of the stepside fenders off the bedside. You can kind of see when I was spraying the coatings on that stepside, I didn't have the bedside ready to go, so there's a little bit of overspray stuff that I need to sand down on this thing, and then you can tell it's just the bare metal. I can't remember if this has a galvanized coating on the outside or not. I don't think so. I wasn't really smelling any zinc, but the surface texture is a little interesting. But I want to get this whole thing like lightly sanded, scuffed down with my surface conditioning tool. Kind of like I've done like right here, and you can actually see a little surface rust from where I had knocked that down a year ago or so, and then over time it got just a little bit of moisture to it here or there, droplet, whatever, maybe it was sweat, I don't know. But get this thing all sanded down and then in primer, and the same thing for the other one. So I want to get this fender off, but it's running into an issue when I was dealing with this before. Like, it's convenient working on the fender while it's bolted to the bedside, because the bedside will sit flat like this and hold the fender up in this position, or it's easier to work on this surface. But when I put it on the stand, there's really not a great way for this thing to sit flat and upright in the way that the other one was. It kind of just wants to sit like either like this, if I put it on the other side, it kind of leans over the other way, and this is pointing down, but I can't get it to sit easy. So I came up with an idea, it kind of popped in my head the other day, of grabbing some all thread here that's smaller than the size of the bolts that I'm using for the bed, and that way they can go through the nuts that are on that bedside, right? This is the same size nut. And I grabbed some of these little plastic spacer bushings, and my plan is to bolt this bedside or this fender to the other fender, that flange to the same flange on the other fender, and have this spaced out a little bit so I can get the coatings and sprays and stuff that wrap over the edge here and get in on the flange, but it doesn't need to be all the way down. I'm not fully coating this mounting flange because you never see it, and this side isn't sanded through, but I think that'll make it where it'll sit a little more upright like that, with the other fender right here, so it'll be flush and I can actually work on this upper side, because this side has a lot of like gouges, and looks like they hit it with some 40 grit on a flap wheel or something when they came out of the stamping die, and there's also draw marks and stuff. So I'm going to sand that down smooth. So I'm going to put a coat of high build on this top side. Initially I was not planning on doing that because this kind of gets hidden under this lip, but it's not going to be that much more effort, and there's already some that's on that side anyway, so I'll just scuff it down, hit the whole thing, smooth it all off, and make it look nice and do it right. So anyway, I'm gonna head out here for a second, get that other fender unbolted, and then we'll get started on making the spacers and the custom little bolts here for bolting the fenders together. So I'll be right back. All right, got the other fender off. Now you can kind of see what I was getting at. Like, they just kind of sit tilted here, but I've cut a section of that all thread and put a lock nut, a little nylock nut, and a washer on it. I'm going to put it through that flange on one fender, and then insert the little spacer, stick it through the other one, and another washer and nylock nut, and I'll keep these two spaced out an inch from each other, and I think that'll work out quite nicely. So let's see how this goes. Alright, let's see here. Got the nut on, but since I chose the undersized all thread, it goes through this spacer here. Let's see. Let's get that other fender over. See what's going on. Alright. Spacer on. That one. Washer. And nut. Okay. So you can see the gap that I was going for there. I'll allow the paint stuff to wrap around these curves, and I can actually get in there and sand on the curves as well, and not allow a lot of stuff to just build up on the edge like it would if I had it bolted up to that bedside. So, and then I'll actually have coatings and stuff on that flange. But that looks good. It's splayed out over here, so I need to make 3 more of those cuts from the all thread. I got 3 more bushings here to make up spacers, but I think that'll work out all right. That's better. Go clean these up on the belt sander. Well, I got the spacers bolted in. It's got a nice gap all the way along it, and it's nice and rigid. So I pick the thing up and it stays together. So I think that'll really help, especially for sanding this top side, keeping the orientation I want. Since I don't have like a positional, you know, stand with all those fingers and stuff that you can bolt to it and hold your panels in all positions. It's a lot cheaper to get some $20 stands. You know, if I need to, I can grab some square tube or whatever and modify one of these things and weld some arms and stuff to it to do that. But I might do that when positioning for paint, like for finish paint. But for right now, I'm happy with this. And I actually think leaving this thing together like that for painting the fenders, it'd actually make that a lot easier to paint both of them. You know, work my way across, and instead of having overspray wasted on one side, it can land on this panel and paint it. So yeah, anyway, laying on the ground, woof. Yeah, I hate laying on the floor in the wintertime. That cold concrete just sucks the heat right out of your bum, you know. Makes you cold. But yeah, I think moving on next here, I'm gonna grab my sandpaper and just knock down, but this piece has a fair amount of high build primer that's come on it from when I laid it on for this surface. So I continued on over this way, so I need to knock some of that down. This is all just raw, the electro deposition primer. There's some junk on there. You can probably see the sanding scratches that this thing's got. If you can't, there's some gouges from the dyes when it went through the deep draw dye, but it's prodigious here. So probably going to knock this top surface down to basically just about bare metal, all the way out to about here or so, and start to blend it in with this thing, and then I'll epoxy coat everything, and it'll be kind of a sealer up here and the base coat on this side, and then do a high build over that in a couple of days. So definitely not going to make my target of getting the whole truck painted in a week a little ambitious, since I'm actually taking the time to straighten these panels out and stuff. But I've made so much progress, I'm really excited, and it's got my motivation up to keep going with it. So anyway, I'll get this camera set up and we'll get started sanding this stuff down. Well, after sanding the upper piece, you can see a lot better, like what I was talking about with all the sanding scratches and draw marks through the dyes and stuff. Like, you know, that's pretty good there. Comes over that body line. You know, a bunch of gouges here. Here's like the biggest one. That's almost a step. You can feel it pretty good. There's a good one on this other one. There's one that you can see a little bit. So Yeah, and over here it looks like they were just hammering on this thing. You can see the edges of like hammer blows on here. But got that knocked down. Took a little while doing it by hand. So what am I going to do with the rest of the surfaces? So the rest of this all the way down here and here, the same on the other side, and then also basically from this body line all the way over to this body line and over. I'm going to grab that stripping tool and knock it down with the power tool quicker. It seems to go even faster than like the DA sander, so I'm going to grab that thing, get it set up, knock these down quick. Well, there's the top side knocked down with that surface conditioning tool. I think it looks pretty good. A nice surface to it. There's a little bit of primer left and some of the scratches down deep just a little bit. So I'm going to grab my palm sander, little DA with some 120 grit, and just knock that down smooth a little bit, kind of feather the edges on the body lines here where I've already done the surface here, made that smooth. I'm also still going to strip this face, this piece, and then the same on the other end. So I'll get those stripped down off camera, and then I'll come back with this DA and knock the top side and get that ready for primer. Well, I managed to get the fenders flipped over, and yeah, I'm really glad I bolted those together because it lets me get some angles I haven't got before. So I was able to get the lower side here cleaned up, even by like where the step goes. This will be covered up, but I still wanted to knock it down and spray some primer on that. You just make it as smooth as I can. I knocked down a little bit along that flange. There was some globs of the primer they put on there before. It was a little rough, so I cleaned that up and then ground off the stickers these things came with. I was messing with scraping them off and they weren't coming off easy, and I was getting frustrated, so I'm just like, heck with it. Well, I'll grind them off. But yep, this side has some primer and stuff. I left a lot of that on there to smooth it down. The other side over here, it's got some more bigger dips and stuff, so I'm just going to knock this side with some red Scotch-Brite just to scuff it up, and that'll be all I do on that part. And then I'll lay on some high build, but just to smooth it up a bit. I'm not actually going to change any of this surface contour because you're only going to see it if you're somebody on a lift underneath the thing. Otherwise, whatever, isn't going to be worth my time. So I've been giving it for a couple hours out here. dirty. So I'm gonna head inside, grab a bite to eat for dinner, rest a little bit, and then I'll be back out here, I think, to start the surface work on the bedsides. I think these fenders are good enough for now, so I'll get moving on that here in just a little bit. Dinner time. Fish sticks and mac and cheese. Dinner of champions. So, all right. Well, I start off, hit a couple of the holes, the mounting holes for the fender. The stamping left kind of a burr on the back edge from the way the dies cut the holes. So just knock those down a little bit with the start off with the contour tool, and then I hit the rest of them kind of with the DA real quick. But yeah, I'll grab that surface conditioner and start going to town. Ooh, got the metal looking good. I couldn't get very tight to a lot of the stuff with that conditioning tool, so I was just knocking out all the large area surfaces, and I came back and touched stuff up with the DA sander with 80 grit on it, just to give it some aggressive tooth. So I'm still gonna have to get in here and do some hand sanding on some of it, but whatever. He's still saving a lot of time using the power tools, so I think I'm gonna swap over, do the same thing that I've done on this one on this other side, and then I'll flip them and get the big surfaces on the other sides, and then I'll do all the detail work after that. So I'm gonna move all the tools and mess. Well, it's about 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve, so I think I'm going to call it quits, go in, take a shower, and go hang out with the family and wait for the new year to come in. So I got most of the outer portion of the bedsides knocked down. I still have the manual sanding to do and the top cap on this bedside, but did pretty well. So tomorrow morning I'll come out here, flip these things over and sand down the other side, and then we should be ready to lay down some more primer. So excited about that. But I'm gonna go in and I will see you guys in a minute. So as you can see, I got a good coat of epoxy on the bedsides now. Came out at noon and finished up the sanding, and then wiped down the bedsides and the doors and got those taped up and painted the inside of the doors, or epoxied the inside of the doors where I'm going to paint. Everything laid down really smooth. I was using a Harbor Freight, throwaway $15 purple HVLP gun for this primer, just because I was like, that's kind of sticky and nasty, and it took a little while to clean out of my other gun the other day, so I decided to get a sacrificial one for this epoxy. But it actually laid it down really nice, and especially considering it's like 33 degrees outside. So when I got done sanding and wiping everything down, I mixed up the epoxy, got everything ready to go, and then drug all the stands out into the driveway and got them set up real quick and sprayed and brought right back in here so that they could start curing up. But looking so good. I'm really impressed. The bedsides are made in USA, and they don't have a bunch of dings and like draw marks and stuff through them in the metal. Like, it's just nice. Some of the other panels, like the doors and these fenders, they got a bunch of wrinkles and waves and stuff, but I'm trying to get the light to show it's actually pretty smooth. So I think with these, all I'm gonna have to do is just scuff them up whenever the epoxy is cured, whenever I get ready to paint, and just lay the paint on. So I'm excited about that, just paint directly over them instead of having to worry about a whole bunch of bodywork and sanding on panels that long. So that'll save quite a bit of work there. I'll just need to scuff it and go. So that'll be cool. But I think this is looking pretty good. Doors I'm happy with as well. So I think this will about do it for the saga of the bedsides at the moment. I'm going to let these things sit out here and cure for a couple of days before I start sanding on stuff. I'll probably go ahead and pull the tape on these doors and for the masking, and just get that off at the moment so I don't flake anything out later. But other than that, I'm just going to pull the masking off and then let it sit out here for a few days. And then we'll get back to the next stage. I'll be getting some primer surfacer on the stepside fenders, and then I'll also flip the doors over and put that high build surfacer on the doors as well to smooth the outer portions of it. I might even do the same thing on the little steps there. See, I got the masking stuff on there, but those steps, they do have a lot of draw marks and wrinkles and stuff in them from the manufacturing process. So to smooth those things off, they're going to need some primer as well, some of the high build. So I'll probably spray those at the same time. But like I said, I'm going to give it a couple of days, let everything kind of sit out here, enjoy the second half of the first day of this new year with the family, and then I'll be back out here in a few days to get going on this stuff, whenever I can get a chance after work. But I'd say, I had the goal of getting this thing painted by the time I made it back from break heading to work. I didn't reach the goal, but I'm not disappointed by setting that ambitious goal. I made a lot of progress on this truck in the past week with the days that I had to work on it. It's been sitting around for so long. When I bought the bedsides and the fenders and stuff, the parts to make the stepside bed 3 years ago was when they showed up. I ordered it in like July of the pandemic in 2020, so within 3.5 years since I ordered those parts. I got the truck here like 5 years ago, so project's been just kind of dragging on, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna set an ambitious goal and see if I can reach it. But even though I hadn't got as far as I wanted to, just because things had taken a lot longer than I expected as I'm learning on this newer stuff, the paint and body stuff, outside my experience of how long things are going to take. I can't estimate because I hadn't done it before, but I'm really glad I set that goal because I got so much done. And looking here, like the bedsides, looking at them here in white, it looks good. Looking at the doors with the primer on it, I've got the tailgate that I still have some sanding to do, but it's looking great. The headboard for the bed is done and ready to go. I've got these fenders knocked down. I've got probably half the smoothing and shaping done on the outer portion of it, and got all the metal stripped down on the top. The hood sanded down, so really I've got a lot of progress. So don't be afraid to set an ambitious goal, even if it's unlikely to achieve it, because if you got the motivation going, you can get a lot done. And really, I've got the motivation going from like missing out basically a month due to the pneumonia that I came down with. It was like, I'm trying to make up for lost time, it feels like, getting out here. So anyway, I think this one's going to be done, and we'll pick up again on the next video, working the 2K surfacer for those other panels. I think we'll get that stuff going. Thanks for watching, everyone.